Every so often, a bunch of tweets will get reposted from this guy called Joe Kescold. Now, if you haven't seen any of these, I've put together a highlight reel of his most iconic hits. These are the ones that'll get reposted a lot on both Twitter and iFunny. So I blocked you. Wondering why? Please consult the criteria below. You done a racism. You done a sexism. You done a bi-erasure. You heckin' disrespected sex work. You called me Joe Kescold. Twitter is my weapon of justice, and the block button, my bullet. Pow. God, if he were real. Joe Kescold, you shall be born white. Me, no, please, God, if he were real. It will be your blessing and your curse. You must use your white male platform to fight injustice. Me, I will. Hey, so maybe stop calling me Joe Kescold. I've heard it, I don't know, over 1,000 times now. It got a chuckle out of me the first time, but it's just not funny anymore. Stop it. I don't even like superheroes. I just like seeing diversity on the big screen. I went to Harlem to see Spider-Verse a second time. I sat in the front row, and rather than watch the film, I turned around and watched a young black boy. I watched his laughs and smiles. It was everything. On my second viewing of Captain Marvel, I will do the same with a little girl. Had a fight with my poly partner today. The F word was used. I found out she's been making love to another man during our sex strike and got unfairly angry. When she noted how many female selfies I've faved, I realized we're even. Now, in case you haven't figured it out by now, it's not like by coincidence this guy's name sounds like Cuckold. This is a satirical account made by someone to mimic the character of a rose Twitter left-winger. Whoever was behind this account was really good at both imitating how that type of person talks while exaggerating it to the point of absurdity. It was most likely made by a leftist, judging from these tweets chastising the irony left. His name is also a double entendre on the term Joe Kescold, which again makes me think that this is probably a irony leftist or something. There was quite a bit of commitment to the bit, signal boosting tweets and even blocking people for calling him mean names and disagreeing. He also reported a lot of them too, which I guess if you have a problem with that, maybe you won't like the account, but you gotta respect committing to the bit. It's like Joe was really out there in the trenches. I just want to go through some more tweets I found while looking through these archives. Men should only be allowed to date women who are older than them. Folks in the future will look back at 2019 and all these 28-year-old men preying on 24-year-old women the same way we in 2019 look back at the 90s casual use of the R slur. Holocaust, Palestine, gender, fascism, Flint, weapons manufacturers, Africa, individual countries in Africa. No, this isn't stream of consciousness writing. It's just my list of things to contemplate on this typical Keskold Saturday afternoon. If I had to live in Nazi Germany, I'd live in a concentration camp, the only places there with any semblance of diversity. We construct lots of creative insults on Twitter. Fart goblin, piss taco, trash Cheeto, but we don't put nearly as much effort into crafting loving nicknames. The next time your loved one is near, give these a whirl. They always get a reaction out of my partner. This is Joe's Dating Corner. Pet names for my partner. Kiss Monkey, Cuddle Boss, Polly Princess, Love Dove, Destroyer of Ableists, Keyboard Warrior, Feminist Smooch Master, Keskold's Queen. For this one, substitute my name with yours. Dom Darling, #1 most fun. But my personal favorite part of Joe Kescold were the stories. Saw an unattended podium with a microphone at the airport. I shouted, trans men can get pregnant, and non-binary folk too, into there. Then I dropped the freaking mic when I realized it wasn't even on. It's the thought that counts, but it'd have been epic had it been on. Today I heard some Peruvian flute music on the hard streets of Brooklyn, and I felt gross listening to the band's dulcet tones for free, because of colonialism and stuff, so I handed those cool cats a buck on the sly. A pretty Latinx woman saw me do it and smiled, which was really nice, but I really only did it to help, not be praised, so I didn't return the smile. I can't figure out how to set up Curious Cat, but a fun fact about me is that I am, at times, afflicted by a brain fog as a side effect of the fungal concoctions my buddy Terrence and I made to try to cure his sister Cynthia. The entire thing exploded when we heated it too much, and Terrence was forced to seal the chamber with me inside, and I inhaled a great deal of the vapors. I couldn't recall that entire week, and the brain fogs have struck intermittently ever since. The latest occurrence was yesterday. I don't remember anything that happened after I put on my slippies and tweeted about it. Then I found myself eating a bag of gummy bears with only one green gummy in it. Did I just eat all the green ones first? Perhaps? This was our experiment chamber, not her cryo chamber. We will not open her cryo chamber until we are certain we have a functioning remedy. Flight attendant, is there a feminist on board? My buddy Terrence, Joe, that's you. Crossing my arms, dozens of women stand up, all begin to speak, whispering to Terrence so I don't talk over the women. Sometimes being a male feminist means sitting down and shutting up. A mother was breastfeeding and another child's father grumbled about it. When I called him out, he called me the F slur. I said, so your son can hear homophobic slurs, but he can't see a breast? Then his son called me the R slur, which proved my point and won me the argument. There was also just a lot of lore on this account. I mean, you probably noticed that Terrence is a recurring character, and there's his rambunctious nephew Jason, as well as his trans roommate Luna. Luna is behind on rent again, and this time I may have to kick her out. But in her name, I'm proposing the Trans Tenant Act. Under the TTA, trans tenants would be allowed to funnel Patreon donations directly to their landlord. To what end, you ask? Let me explain. Most trans people are on Patreon, but a handful aren't. The TTA would ensure that every trans person was assigned a mandatory Patreon. Okay, so let's kind of go into the background of this account. The Joe Kescold account was created in July of 2018. The earliest known archive is from November of that year, and it actually uses a photo of what is presumably the real Joe Kescold, although I can't really find a source of this image. Even back then, it was pretty good at getting a reaction out of people. The Great War ended 100 years ago. Our great-grandfathers and grandmothers fought in the trenches of Europe against the rising tide of fascism. This Sunday afternoon, I will fight in the digital trenches of the globalized world to combat patriarchy, ableism, and the gender binary. The cartoon Avatar wasn't made until April of 2019, and by 2020, he already had 15,000 followers. He got pretty notorious. I mean, he declared war on the Pepes, destroying them with facts, logic, and proper grammar one by one. Imagine that debate is a duel. These Pepes who desperately want to debate me can't string a single sentence together without a grammar or spelling error. It's like announcing you want to challenge me to a duel by shooting yourself in the foot with your pistol. This one is just shooting himself over and over, yet still wants to fight me even as he's bleeding out on the floor. See this? Juzzy, what does that mean? Can't edit on Twitter. Can't, bruh. Are you really gonna do this to me? Can we just end this, please? There's no need to be a grammar Nazi. It's really annoying. Also, your first sentence is a question and needs a question mark. He fooled Ian Miles Chong, who called him out, which I guess isn't that hard, but it's still worth mentioning. However, Joe strangely disappeared before the summer. The original @ was changed to N-word SpongeBob, which has since been suspended. From what I can gather, the account was run by a bunch of different people, probably a group chat or something, and there was a lot of infighting that led it to just fall apart and go defunct. There are a few different explanations about who was running it and why it fell apart. The source of the drama was apparently this guy on Twitter that got Me Too'd named Connor Golden. The Joe Kescold account, I guess, made fun of it, and that didn't go over well. So here's a Reddit comment kind of explaining it. It was a group of people running it, got huge backlash for some tweet about Connor Golden, so they decided to call it quits on the act. They tweeted that some tenant of Joe's went crazy and killed Joe, so now the crazy guy is running the account. So yeah, you can actually see that tweet here. I guess the person was named Scar. One of Joe's former tenants that he evicted killed him. She was like mad. Anyway, me and Joe weren't so close anymore, but it's a bummer, I guess. I think he was trying to steal my girl. Just thought I'd let y'all know. Here are a few other theories about why it got deleted. It was a couple of Twitter joke guys with a little following of note on their own, I'm pretty sure. I was trying to find them earlier to back up my claim that they're going back to the Joe, well, because they're disappointed in their lack of recognition for anything else, but I can't remember enough to find them right now. I feel like the dudes who had this account couldn't deal with being less internet famous than Joe Kescold. Keskold. To be honest, the bit was probably getting old by that point. I mean, it had already been like 2 to 3 years. I'm sure it's probably getting a bit stale. You know, there's only so much you can really do with that kind of premise. I don't know. It was pretty interesting. I remember this account back in the day, and it's pretty funny that people still post it. There was a comment from back in the day when Joe was getting canceled for the first time. It was for one of the many tweets that still gets reposted, and it's pretty apt. Joe's an excellent troll account in the original definition of revealing something embarrassing about the people reacting. In this case, the fact that anti-woke/SJW people on Twitter have the exact same brain-dead reaction gif culture as Rose Twitter and Kamala Harris stan. And, you know, that's pretty true. Everyone takes the bait sometimes, and honestly, like, I'm not here to be like, you're stupid if you thought this was a real person, because everyone kind of falls for it sometimes, you know. Thinking you're above it just means that one day you'll probably fall for it too. But yeah, that's just kind of the story of Joe Kescold, why his account disappeared, and what the backstory is behind this weird Twitter character.